Hello, viewers. Welcome to another episode on your favorite section on Sensi TV, where we discuss real life issues and trending topics. I will bring you things that motivate you and keep you always interested. Today, we will be discussing a different topic entirely. It is something we'll be discussing about issues that affect our classrooms, surrounding our classrooms, community, and the future of education at large. I am your host, Gloria, and today we are asking the big questions. Students of today, are they smarter, lazier, or just learning differently? That is the question. Now, here, if you ask different people, you get different answers. Some teachers will tell you that students are just some will say they are being lazy, some will say they are just hard to learn, while some will tell you they are learning in different and innovative way. Everyone has something, one or two things to say when it comes to students of today's generation. Now, I have with me in the house, I have a very special guest in the house. I have here with me Dr. Bruno Nkem, acting head of departments public health at KO Mbadiwe University, Imo State. And Dr. Bruno here is someone who I believe has been in the field of education for quite some time, and he understands exactly what our topic of today is saying. So, Dr. Bruno, you're welcome.
Thank you very much,
How are
Gloria.
you doing?
I'm doing fine.
I can see you're doing very, very good.
Thank you.
It's so nice to have you here.
It's a pleasure.
So, our viewers, don't go anywhere because we have a lot to unpack. We have a lot for you to learn from, and we have a lot you really, really you don't want to mix up because Dr. Bruno here is going to be sharing his experience and telling us exactly how today's classroom looks like. Don't go anywhere. Thank you. All right, let's dive right in. Dr. Bruno.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, as a lecturer, you have worked with a lot of students of different age range. Now, how would you describe today's classroom or lecture room? How would you describe it from 10, 20 years back? How do you describe today's classroom?
Well, I would say these days, students are not just learning in the classroom, they are growing differently from CBT centers for JAM to WhatsApp groups, Telegram groups, AI. So, students are learning from different places.
So
So,
when you say AI, sir, when you say they are learning from AIs, do you think AI now is making them smarter? Is making them lazier?
well, what I'm trying to say by calling these platforms is they have access to more, they have better access to information now compared to so many years ago. Before now, it's just the teachers guiding the students, teaching them. It's more of the teacher being the centerpiece of information for the students. Now, they have access to all kinds of information. They learn even from TikTok, they learn from Instagram, they learn from WhatsApp groups. There are also platforms like ULesson, Tutoria, and a whole lot of them. So students have access to all these platforms. So the lecturer's job should be more of guiding them in the right path rather than giving them the full information because they can access all that information. However, they face their own struggles. The disadvantage of being of all these information platforms being accessible to them is that they are prone to being easily distracted. So as a result, their attention span and focus is would be severely dealt with. Since they can access all this information, they can tend to be reluctant to give their full attention to the lecturer that is teaching them in class.
Okay. All
Mhm.
right. Now, if we're looking at today's educational system is in the classroom. Okay, let me just say a few years back, where it's just the teacher that actually pass through some to the students, and all you do is have if there's a textbook, you just go home and read through them if the teacher gives you assignment or that they don't have access to these platforms, then will you say then students then were more focused, being the fact that just from the classroom to their house and the textbook, if there's any available, will you say they are focused? Because when you talk about these platforms that you're talking about now, does it make them, you can just ask a child question now and the next thing he or she does is go to AI or go online. They don't really think now, they don't work. Do you think it makes them more lazier than they used to be?
Well, I would say it makes them, I don't want to use the word lazier, but I would say they don't have the same focus, or they may not concentrate or study deeply as we would have done during
Yes.
our time.
Oh,
Even though some of us had the privilege of also learning in places where some of these things have always been available. Some of these students, when you give them assignments, just like said just now, they go straight to AI, ChatGPT, and do all that. The disadvantage is they always know that they can rely on ChatGPT to do those assignments. So they may not pay full attention in class. And there is also the danger of surface learning. However, being exposed to all these sources of information is also a positive for them because they are learning how to access information, and learning how to access information can make them to learn simple things. There are some little things that they can easily ask the teacher in class. They wouldn't do that. It's a negative because we expect our lectures to be more interactive. Some might shy away from asking those questions because they can always use their chat GPT, ask and get the answer. So it's a negative, even though I see it as a positive because they are also falling in line with the current trend, which is learning how to use these digital platforms to enhance their own learning.
okay. Now,
Yeah.
as a lecturer
Mhm.
in the lecture, what are the what difference will I say? What difference have you noticed in your student when you're lecturing them in their approach to learning? What exactly is that different thing you've noticed compared to before when you're lecturing students, how it used to be compared to now in the classroom? What are the difference you've noticed in students' approach to learning in the classroom?
Well, first of all, most of the students come to class with a whole lot of information. That is, if you are the type of lecturer that give them materials before now. So, if you develop the style of distributing your materials before the actual lecture, some of them might go through it and come prepared with stronger, better questions that can help the entire class. While the others, they don't bother because they know that information is always going to be there. Especially now that most lecturers are distributing their notes in PDF, which is also digital. Some of them are reluctant to actually print these things out, study them, answer questions, or even do assignments. Simple things that, like telling them to do handwritten assignment, becomes a tough job for them because they just prefer that you give these assignments and they just use AI to do the 10 papers and submit to you. The negative side of it is most information on AI may not be verified. They don't come with citations and references because those are the things that would validate whatever information you're submitting. So some of them struggle with this. They don't come with verified information. So when you teach them, they accept. They do learn, and they are open-minded about it, but they have their own preferences. They prefer you teaching them, sharing your materials digitally, teaching them digitally, using YouTube and other ways to learn. So,
So you as a lecturer now, whereby you give an assignment or so, and a student comes back to you with what he or she has learned or copied from the AI, and you know it's not verified, it's not that accurate. How do you react to that?
the good thing is I also know how to use AI. So, when they bring these
Okay.
assignments, it's very easy because the thing with artificial information is you don't get to change so much.
Yeah.
It's what you ask, that's what the query you give them is what they're going to give back to you. So it's easy to identify that because the originality won't be there. So,
Okay.
and we find a lot of them doing literally the same thing. So it's easy to know that these students did this assignment using AI.
Okay.
So what I do to checkmate that, I prefer to give them handwritten assignments. So it takes them back in the old days, and you have to actually write and submit.
So that
Then
means okay.
sometimes, yes, sometimes I instruct them that they have to cite where they're getting their information from. AI just gives you everything verbatim. But if you actually do your research, you'll be collecting different information from different sources. The advantage, critical thinking. You get to actually analyze the data that you're receiving to know if it's correct or not before putting it out there. Unlike AI using ChatGPT, you can just get all the information. You don't know. You don't know if it's correct. AI does make mistakes sometimes, but they don't care about that. They just want to do it and submit. So it's a challenge, but we work through that by giving them handwritten assignments.
All right. So in your own words, students of these particular generations are not lazy.
I wouldn't say they are lazy. I would say that they are both smarter and learning differently.
Because the reason why I ask is if you come to the classroom where teachers are actually teaching,
Mhm.
if you see most of the students' attitude towards learning, and you interview some, they'll tell you that students now they just don't want to learn. They are very, very lazy. So that is why I'm asking, in your own perspective, students are not lazy.
Okay, I'll use this example. Um, I had a course that I taught. I had the option to just come out and teach this course, but I came out with a different approach. My approach was share the students. It's a large class, so I decided to share them into groups, give them these topics to go work on it, then come and present. I made sure that each group had every member of each group must participate in this group assignment. And then when they are presenting, each person is going to speak. I found out that these students were actually a lot smarter than I thought. Not only did they help me cover a huge workload, but they did it in ways that I might not have done it if I had decided to teach this on my own. They not only presented fluently, they presented in their own words. They understood these topics better. And then when I set my exam questions on this topic, because I didn't go back to teach them, I wanted to just try them. Then if they performed badly, I'll go back and teach that topic. But they did excellently well. And they understood this topic in their own words. The good thing is they did the research on their own and then came to present their findings in their own words, which is their own way of understanding that topic. So I was impressed because teachers are also supposed to understand that the world is evolving, the environment is evolving. The students can learn through different means. So if you give them the opportunity to actually learn on their own and then present to you, or even if they have to write, which by term papers, we are learning now, we are teaching our students now how to use originality reports. Platforms like Turnitin can help with that. With that originality report, you are not just going to submit that thing, you are going to paraphrase and make it your own. That way, you're also developing a skill of writing and developing your own research.
All right.
So they are doing well.
All right. All right.
Yeah.
So in your words, you're saying that if you give them the chance, that their intelligence shows up differently.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, it does.
All right.
It does. Because cognitive exposure is very important, because relying on just your handout doesn't expose them to quite a lot. Do you understand? YouTube videos have a lot of, especially in science, there are a lot of animation that can explain, make that the students can understand in minutes what might take you hours to make them understand. So they can assess that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. All right. Let's quickly go on a short break. Then when we come back, we'll dig deeper into this topic.
Okay.
Don't go nowhere. All right, viewers, welcome back from that very short break. We've been discussing education. Students today, are they smarter, lazier, or just learning differently? Now, Dr. Bruno, technology, we've talked about how technology has been helping students in learning differently. Now, technology seems to be both a blessing and a curse, because everything that has good has the bad side. It seems to be both a blessing and a curse to students. How do you say it?
Well, I'll quote you, it is both a blessing and a curse. A blessing because you can access a whole lot of information from different platforms. A curse because your attention span in focusing on one platform, you might be hearing something from Facebook, another thing from TikTok, another thing from Twitter, another thing from Telegram or WhatsApp. So long as those information are not verified, you may not be getting the right information. But if you choose to focus on, for example, Google Scholar, get a lot of books or articles or journals on a particular topic, scan through them, critically analyze them, get your information from the ones that are credible, and then cite your sources. It is more manual, but it's better than just relying on what you're getting from ChatGPT, Google, and all the rest of them. So, the old school way of actually doing the research, which is deep diving into what you want, getting a whole lot of published articles, and not just published, but the articles should be published in peer-reviewed journals. If you get them, source, get your information from those things. You will be getting the right information, but some students are not ready to do that. They just want to go straight, type in their prompt on AI, and just copy it, put it on Microsoft Word, and just go and paste and go and print without editing anything. They are not learning.
Yeah.
They are not learning how to source for information. They don't care. They're not learning how to cite, because actually citing and referencing is also a skill. So it could be a curse It could be a blessing because they can get quick surface level information. Sometimes you just need some quick information just to go by. Yeah, it could be a blessing in that part. But
Okay.
yeah,
Now, students learn. Let's say if you go to schools, universities, secondary schools, students are learning because the world has technology has actually helped a lot in a lot of aspects. But now let's come down to the classrooms, to lecturers and teachers. Are they actually helping students learn better? Are they? Because if I may say, a lot of teachers or lecturers actually, I think what a teacher is supposed to pass knowledge. Now, most of them don't pass original. Will I use the word original knowledge? They still go back to the internet and still those same thing they get from the internet. They give it to kids and to the students. What do you have to say about that?
well, I think that teachers are also evolving with the technology.
Okay.
We are not just teachers anymore. We are more like facilitators. What we do is to guide the students. For example, in my classroom, if I'm teaching a topic, I ask questions with real life examples. That is not an information that they may care to get from AI. So rather than using what is copied from Google, Wikipedia, or other platforms, you as a lecturer, we as lecturers study those things and come out with real life example, especially pertaining us here in Nigeria. I'm not going to give you an example of what is happening in the US or in Malaysia or in the UK. So we develop our study should be more of storytelling, interactive, and combining both these two things with real life examples. That is the only way you can relate these three things, engage the students so that they don't have to rely. If the student can come to class and listen to you talking about how that thing is actually happening within and around you, they may not have the skill to fish out information about how the concept you're teaching them is happening around them. It is your duty as a teacher to do something differently by giving them that, rather than just giving them information that they can easily get from the
Okay.
internet.
Okay. Now you've talked about your own personally. As a teacher, you ask questions and all that. Now there are also teachers who don't ask. They come to the classroom and all they do is give you the topic. Because I believe maybe even if you want students to learn, to actually get their own source, go and make research and all those things, you actually give them, maybe let's say if he's telling them an overview of that particular topic, you give it to them and tell them, okay, go and do a research on and come back and tell me what you got. Now some teachers or lecturers don't do, they just come and just tell you this is the topic and they leave.
Well, that's not such a bad thing. It depends on what you're trying to achieve by giving them that topic. Some lecturers want to teach their students how to actually develop con- concepts, develop that particular topic that they're giving to the student. Learning how to develop a topic is a skill that can help the student. It could also be reflection based. They just want them to reflect on that topic.
So you think
It
doing
could
such
also
things
be,
actually helps them?
it depends on the reason behind it. If you want them to reflect on that topic, if you want them to critically analyze the topic, that has to do with getting information from different sources on that topic and analyzing it, and then coming out with something you think isn't right with the current information out there. So that is critical thinking. Critical
Yes.
thinking skills is important, research skills is important, reflection. And it will actually help the students because rather than just giving them everything verbatim, because just like you said, it might have a problem with a lecturer just copying information that the students can also copy and give it to them. You could save a lot of time by giving them that topic and then asking them to present on it. Or you give them a handwritten test to show whether they actually did some work on that topic.
All right, that's interesting.
Mm,
Now, you made mention that schools education system is evolving in
mm,
different ways when it comes to technology. Do you think schools are keeping up with this trend, this change? Secondary schools, university, do you think they're keeping up with this change of, or are they most of them are they still stuck on that old educational system whereby they just come and write on the board and go home? Do you think they're keeping up with the changes?
Oh, yes, definitely. Schools are keeping up. A lot of schools are now using CBT, which you know of. A lot of schools are using Google Classroom. My university, for example, we use Google Classroom. We use Moodle. These are online platforms where you can develop your course notes, upload it. The student can simply go and download. For instance, I go the extra mile. Even when the students are on holidays, I engage them on their WhatsApp platform. I engage them by developing the topics that I'm going to teach. I start giving them information ahead of time. So by the time they come to the classroom, they already have all the information. All I need to do now is to relate real life examples with storytelling and good hooks that will engage them. And then, since I've already given them the materials which they can read, they'll come up with interactive questions to make the class more lively and interesting. So, yes, lecture teachers and most universities have also developed, like in my school, we have platforms where students can literally do everything online. They can register courses, they can put their complaints digitally, they can even their results. We have digital ways that the results can be ready just within weeks.
All right,
So, yeah.
that's really, really nice.
Mm,
Now let's talk about teachers and parents' perspective. Now, in this changing and evolving world in education, a lot of parents, no, though our Gen Z, or like our modern parents are actually adapting very well to it. A lot of parents find it difficult to adapt. Okay, a few weeks ago, I heard a parent where the child was saying they gave them an assignment and they had to use Google to look it up and get the definitions and everything they asked them to do. And when the parents were like asking them, why would they ask them to use Google and do assignments? What are the teachers being paid for? Is a teacher not supposed to just write something on the board, teach you, you copy them down on your notes, and you go back and go through your notes to write your assignments? So she was like, what are teachers actually doing? Teachers, they are just being lazy. Like she don't know why a teacher would tell a child to go home and use phone and do assignments. So, and I was wondering, a lot of things, like we know education is changing. Some things a teacher will teach you, and some they will tell you, okay, go and make your find outs and all that. Is it wrong for a teacher to give a child an assignment and tell you to go home and look it through themselves?
well, if your child, hmm, if you happen to be in a community, a neighborhood, or a networking event, and you see children presenting things, they are able to show skills like how to search things on the internet, develop those things, and come out and present it. And then your own child doesn't even know how to open Google. Would you have a problem with that?
Of course.
Especially if they are the same age. If they're of the same age. So, what I'm trying to say is A child learning how to source information early is a positive because they can learn a lot of things. Some of these students go as far as learning marketable skills early that can generate income for their families. Content creation, digital marketing, coding. These are things that they can learn and help their families. They can generate income from these skills. They can even get, uh, what do they call it? Jobs through these platforms. They can have their own GitHub account for those that are into coding. So these things, they don't just learn it in a single day. It starts early, being able to access the internet. From learning to access the internet, you start learning that there are things like coding. You can see a website, your child might just be interested and want to know how to build that website. And because their brains are very young and active, the way they learn these things will be way faster than the way we would learn it.
Sure.
So it's a positive.
So how can parents support this generation? For those parents who feel that is some of them feel it's too early for a child to start going through the phone, making research and all that. How can they support? In what ways can they support this generation and encourage their children to do more?
Well, first of all, if you have an opportunity when your child is on holiday to enroll them for coding robotics classes, you can support them with that. If you have the financial capacity to give them phones with parental guidance, you can limit what they watch on their phones. Limit it to things like productive skills like coding. Some children are even learning how to make videos and create content. There are a lot of YouTube channels for kids that are generating huge streams of income for their families. So I'm not one of those that would be against that. I would say if you have the capacity to support your skill, to support your child positively in only educational skills, but you have to control it because there are a lot of information online that can also ruin your child.
Yeah.
So it's not something that should go unsupervised.
All right. Okay, quickly. Now, with the way things are going, the educational technology and everything, what would you say or how would you say our educational system will look like for the teachers, for lecturers and students 10 years from now?
10 years from now in Nigeria is already probably 20 or 30 years ago abroad. So I would speak from that. Abroad, you don't even need to go to classes. They have platforms where lecturers upload their notes, even upload like where I can make a video of myself lecturing and upload it on platforms like Moodle.
Oh.
Moodle is one of those platforms that every student have access to. They can go there and download. Thank God COVID-19 introduced us to Zoom and other video calling where you can easily give lectures in the comfort of your home. Students can ask questions freely without being shy, without thinking of how their students are going to judge them, whether they are smart or not. Some may not even need to come show themselves on video to ask those questions. So some of those online classes are a lot more interactive, even though it is not socially engaging. So in as much as you want to do the online thing, you should also know that social interaction is part of education. So we can't completely leave that out. We must learn to combine both classroom and digital platforms for easy learning and better results.
All right. All
Yeah.
right. Thank you very much for that. Now, what do you have to say to our students who are going to school, who are learning, and who are actually some of them that are actually finding it difficult to learn in in various forms aside the classroom? What would you have to say to them?
Fortunately, most schools are now employing the help of psychologists. So we recognize that all students are not the same. Some have different forms of, some may not be well. They may be healthy but not well. They may not be socially well, financially, emotionally, psychologically, in all different ways. Schools are now employing some resident psychotherapists that the students can talk to that will help them. Yeah. On the financial aspect of things, thank God we have what we call NEL Fund that is helping with fees. Nigerian governments have opened up a platform where they can give out student loans to help students with their school fees. Then other things that are not financial, they can learn to, if they are not free to talk to their course advisors or their lecturers, they can go to the school psychotherapist who's going to help them in so many ways.
All
Mm,
right.
yeah,
Thank you very much, Dr. Bruno,
you're
for
welcome.
sharing your insights with us today. It
Thank
was
you.
really, really helpful and educating. So, to
Thank
our
you.
viewers out there, thank you very much for watching. You've heard from Dr. Bruno himself. He has told you a lot of things and has given us a lot of insights on exactly how today's educational system is evolving. And I believe you've learned a thing or two from him. I've learned quite a lot from him. So please do well to follow us on our social media platforms on Facebook, on TikTok, on YouTube. Subscribe to our YouTube channels. Leave your comments. If you have a question, drop your questions. If you have a contribution, drop your contribution. Just tell us what you feel about this topic. Students today, are they smarter, lazier, or just learning differently? And we will be glad to respond to you. So until we come your way next time, stay positive. Bye for now.